In this step 2 video, you'll learn how to quickly draft and sew a collar to your shirt and to add the buttons to your placket and fasten them up. To make a collar, first you need to do is check the measurements of your pattern neckline. You can help yourself with the calculator and sum up the half measurements. Front, the placket width, and the back neckline. So I get 19 centimeters and 6 millimeters. Now I create a rectangle to draft my stand. I'm putting the number I have and the stand height, which is 25 millimeters for me. Then I'm going to separate the placket part of the stand just for my ease. And then I'm splitting the front and the back part of the neckline so it's easier to sew together with the front pattern and the back pattern later. So I check if all the measurements are the same. Then you want your stand to get a correct shape in the front. So it's smaller in the placket zone and has a curve in the upper part. With the Edit Curvature tool, I'm modeling the shape. When you get the shape you wanted, it's time to draw the collar. I'm selecting the polygon tool and I actually draw a mirror of the half of the collar. It's because when sewn together the collar folds down and I want the face of the fabric to be visible on the top. We'll get back to it later. Now I make the front part of the collar more pronounced and I need to add a bit of curve on the fold line so it just fits more naturally. And I add a curve in the collar bottom as well. So I have both parts of the collar, and it's time to duplicate them as a symmetrical pattern with sewing. Switching on the 3D window, I can start to place the patterns close to the neckline. So I start with one side, and then the other one. Always make sure to place the stand more close to the neckline. We get back to the collar part, which, as you see, we need to rotate. In case of white poplin, you almost don't see the difference, but in case of a printed fabric, if you didn't draw a mirror pattern and flip it afterwards, you would see the reverse side of the fabric on top after folding. Let's start sewing. The sewing is symmetrical to both sides, which is great. Then using the segment sewing, I just connect the segments accordingly. Just making sure it's placed correctly. And simulate. Forgot about sewing in the back of the collar. You can sew it, but you can also merge the both sides. Okay, I will check if I like how it looks. It looks fine, but I would like to have the collar part stiffer than the rest of the shirt, like I was using interlining. That's why I duplicated the fabric I use, which is cotton poplin, so I can go to the property editor and change the thickness of the new one that is the copy. I will make it like double thick, so my color will get better look. Then looking at my straight shirt shape, I want to add some width to the bottom line and make it more open. So I quick edit the bottom on one side front and then on one side in the back. And also I want to make the armhole bigger so I get more relaxed look. When doing this, you have to make sure the seam line, which in this case is the side seam, is same length on both sides. So I have to reduce the same length in the front pattern side seam. Okay, so now we want to place the buttons on the front placket. I select the button tool, the big button icon on the 3D window toolbar. And I mark the placement of the first button and click enter. I have my first button, so I can see it's actually too big for this placket. So I go to my object browser and click on the button. And then in the property editor window, you see all the parameters of the button, like shape, size, and so on. So I'm gonna change the button width to 11 millimeters. And then I'm going to make the rest of the buttons, clicking on the button Edit tool and press the right button and select Copy. And paste it with the Shift button pressed down, so the following buttons are going to be aligned with the first one. Right click, and now we have the window, so we can create the number of the buttons at once. I will select the interval 95 millimeters and press 5 more buttons in the line. Done! What we now need are the buttonholes that are super easy to make. I press the Edit button tool and select all the buttons created with Shift pressed down. And I select Duplicate as buttonhole to symmetric pattern. And all buttonholes will automatically appear on the other part of the placket. As in case of the buttons, my default buttonhole is too big, so I look for the buttonhole icon in the object browser and then I open the property editor and change the size. I now paste one more button for the stand. And repeat the duplicating as buttonhole to the symmetric pattern. Then you can fasten selected buttons by clicking on Fasten button tool, just below the button tool. Clicking the button will show you an arrow pointing the buttonhole you want to use for the fastening. And press Simulate. Okay, you've made step 2 of the ultimate basic shirt. See you on the next one.